water and for the use of a public toilet. There's no need to get out of your house. All right, so we hope that you keep this in mind. And if you have any questions, please, the hashtag is Breakfast Daily. The WhatsApp line is 0550-585832. And if you happen to be outside Ghana, kindly use the country code +233. And we'll hear what you're saying. We'll read it out on air.
Yes, and as it stands now, the number of positive cases in the country still stands at 152, right? So the number of the people who are part of the quarantine group, the 1,030 people who came into the country right when we locked down all the land, sea, air travels into the country, still stands at 79. The general population, that number is 63, and we have 10 foreigners who have tested positive. So if we keep at it, we will be able to contain it, okay? Because as we are here now, we've not been tested. And it's very dangerous to assume you are negative because you've not been tested. So even if you've not been tested, just pretend as if there's a possibility that you could be carrying it and you are not showing any signs and symptoms. So it's important to continue practicing the same preventative measures we mentioned from the very first day. Wash your hands with running water and soap, right? Use alcohol, hand sanitizer, or rubbing alcohol if you need to do something in between, but that's not a substitute for running water and soap. Don't touch your face, don't touch your eye, don't touch anything that has to do with your face at all. If you must, just wash your hands first. Cook your food to the brim. We don't have an issue with cooking in this country, so don't go doing medium rare and none of that fancy stuff. Overcook your food to make sure that you are safe. If we initially were saying, keep a distance from people who show signs and symptoms, but now we know people can go for up to 14 days without showing any signs and symptoms. So just stay away from everybody. Don't go touching anyone. Don't go hugging anyone. Don't go doing anything. Don't only wait till they are showing signs and symptoms. Just don't show anything at all. Keep your hands to yourself and keep to yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've been sending us messages already, so we'll read some of them out. But before we do that, I just want to remind you that today we have the health segment. We're going to be talking to Dr. Kelvinu and all your questions. It's going to be a Q&A session. So we're going to be ask him all your pressing health questions. Anything that you have, whether it's COVID-19 or anything else, we're going to be talking to him live on video. So send in your questions, we will ask him for you and he will answer them.
Yes, so we have some of your comments here. Someone says, please, we need your urgent help at Nungwa Barrier near the orphanage. We have lights off for the past 24 hours. All efforts to get ECG's help prove futile. Please help us. We have called ECG call center more than 10 times. So if you're staff of ECG and are watching us this morning, please tend to them. Their electricity is gone off for the past 24 hours and they need your help. So please contact them at the Nungwa Barrier near the orphanage. And as David Riley said, if you have any questions that are sitting home about your health, anything related to coronavirus, we will ask Dr. Kelvinu on your behalf. So send those messages in with the hashtag Breakfast Daily. And to reach us directly with your questions, the WhatsApp line is 0550-585832. If you're outside Ghana, you can still send us your questions using the country code +233.
Absolutely. Well, up next is News Review. My name is David Kwekusechi.
And I am Jifekwe Amatam. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Since 1967, Hisense has never relented on its brand promise of manufacturing the highest quality but affordable home appliances for everyday people worldwide. At Hisense, we pride ourselves with the fact that our products play the necessary role it is expected in the lives of our cherished customers. Whatever your home appliances needs are, be it refrigerator, air conditioner, television, gas cooker, electric cooker, iron, rice cooker, washing machine, steamer, kettle, mobile phone, sound system, blender, you can confidently walk into any of our showrooms to pick up what you need at the best price. We are the only company that, without a second thought, give you 5 years warranty. Our after-sales service, coupled with our great customer service, makes us second to none. Quality, style, energy saving, affordability are our common attributes. High sense, everyday prices for everyday people.
Welcome back. This our newspaper headlines, then some online stories, then introduce our guest who are already seated here with us. Let's start off with the Daily Graphic. Daily Graphic has it here, $100 million COVID-19 fund ready for disbursement. That's coming from the finance minister, and that story is on page 16. First day of restriction, travelers turn tricksters, desperate to move into regions. That story is on page 3. Guys, again, please stay still, okay? 2 weeks will be over before we know it. We have no reason to go back into our hometowns. 37 Tamale Hospital staff quarantined. That story is on page 21. ADB votes 1 million Ghana cedis for COVID-19 fight. That story is on page 21 of the Daily Graphic. We'll now go on to the Ghanaian Times. Accra Kumasi deserted on first day of 14-day lockdown. That story is on page 13 of the Ghanaian Times. Don't stockpile food. There's enough for all year. That's coming from the Agric Minister. So those of you running into our markets thinking that we're going to run out of food, he's saying we are not at war. We are just fighting coronavirus, and we have unlimited food for the entire country for the rest of the year. You can read more on that on page 13 of the Ghanaian Times. And finally, 37,000 police come military personnel deployed to enforce lockdown, and that story is on page 11. So you see some of them in your neighborhood. They are not there to harass you or anything. They're just trying to make sure that we all do the best we can to comply. We'll now take a look at the New Crusading Guide. The front page of the New Crusading Guide, we have government officials donate salary towards COVID-19 fight, story on pages 3 and 10, and I think that's very commendable. Majority of them have donated actually 50% of their salary to fight this COVID-19 war that we are all in. Elders of teacher Kotie Ferguson family petition director CID over their stolen parcel of land. NACCA boss presents motorbikes to NPP coordinators. So you can read more on the Daily Guide story. Of course, you can pick it up today. We'll now take a look at our online stories, starting with citynewsroom.com. On citynewsroom.com, we have Special Prosecutor invites Mahama's brother over Airbus scandal. So that's still going on. Special Prosecutor Martin Amidu has invited Mahama's brother over the Airbus scandal, along with somebody else, actually. Residents of Lekma Hospital in fear after doctor test positive for COVID-19. COVID-19 lockdown, time for Akufo-Addo to reduce large government size. It's coming from John Jinapo. Courts ordered to adjourn cases to May, June over COVID-19 lockdown. Lekma Hospital doctor confirmed COVID-19 positive. We'll now take a look at some business news from citybusinessnews.com. Registrar General's Department, other state agencies shut their doors over partial lockdown. Government revenue targets to drop significantly due to impact of COVID-19. That's coming from the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta. Fuel prices to drop again in April pricing window, IES predicts. It's great news. Our services are essential. We must be exempted from lockdown. Contract cleaners. ADB commits 1 million Ghana cedis to Ghana's COVID-19 fight. We thank them so much for it, and lots more people in the private sector are doing their bit to help Ghana raise the funds we need to fight this COVID-19 war. We'll take a look at some more Local news from myjoyonline.com. Government denies claims some state officials have tested positive for coronavirus. Okay, so for all of your local news, or all of your news, you can go to citynewsroom.com, and for all of your business news, you can go to citybusinessnews.com. Now, throughout the news review, we want to hear from you because the conversations are interactive. So if you're watching us on social media, you can comment down below on our Facebook page. If you're on other social media platforms, the hashtag to use is Breakfast Daily. And if you want to reach us directly, the WhatsApp line is 0550585832. If you happen to be outside Ghana, the country code is +233. I have been joined by Frederick Ewusi, who is the PRO of the Union of Professional Nurses and Midwives in Ghana. So, good morning, Frederick.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing good.
Thank you so much for being with us.
You're welcome.
Firstly, how are your colleagues doing? How are you guys feeling in this whole COVID-19 situation we have on our hands?
Greetings to your viewers this morning, and the opportunity given me to speak on the COVID-19 this morning. When it comes to our colleagues, the health workers, yes, it's quite alarming when you hear a story from outside Ghana, Italy, the America, and elsewhere. And even in the country, some of our colleagues have been quarantined because of this COVID-19. The president have laid down some measures to cover some couple of nurses when it comes to the insurance issue. We raised concerns. I work at the University of Ghana Medical Center at the emergency department, of which is the first point of call when issues of this nature comes to the facility. And as part of the rapid response team, we lay down issues and concerns that the health professionals are quite risk to this COVID-19, and so we need a lot when it comes to the PPEs, that is the personal protective equipment, and things that we would work with, because we are ready to work, and that is our profession. We sought an oath to work for Mother Ghana and elsewhere. We hear on the news that even this morning, the City News broke that there's 36 health workers at the Tamale Teaching Hospital who have been quarantined this morning. And these stories, one way or the other, put some fears in our colleagues. But we are here to encourage them that they shouldn't be afraid, because the Lord is on our side, and we are pleading the government to provide enough PPEs. Because if there's no PPEs, we can't move to the war. And let me put it that way. There had been incentives though, but we are expecting the government to do more, because we hear that frontliners, in my perspective, I think every nurse who is out there working is a frontliner. Not only those who are going close to the patients, because we run shifts. You have to go rest and rejuvenate yourself and come back again and work. We are hoping that we'll be able to contain the infection. We're able to contain it so that we wouldn't have the influence of more COVID-19 cases, confirmed cases. That's our prayer, so that at least the thing will calm down and our people will also have their peace of mind. People are afraid.
How are you guys dealing with your mental health, actually? We
have psychologists in our facility who, one way or the other, encourages us and give us infos on how to go about these issues. Because when you hear your colleague has been infected, from the onset, when you hear someone is having COVID-19, we were thinking that you are going to die, but that is not the case.
Majority of people survive.
That is not the case. I think there should be a forum where we will discuss the COVID-19, how to are aloof of when you say COVID. All that we know is a virus.
Okay, so that's a brilliant question for Dr. Kelvinu, who will be joining us for the health sector later.
Yeah, it's a virus that comes
to the body. I'll let you wrap up your opening remarks and introduce the next guest.
Yeah, so I think the government should provide more. And the incentive when it comes to the insurance, it should cover all the nurses. We are pleading to the government that it should cover all the nurses and not only the frontliners. Because how do you define the frontliners?
Definitely.
Do you understand? We don't understand who is a frontliner.
Okay.
So far as I'm there, I'm taking
Exposing
care of,
yourself
yes,
to
I am a frontliner. It's not necessarily someone who dons the coverall, puts some mask and else things, boots, the gum boots and goes there. But the OPD nurse who even takes notes, who even, takes the temperature, vitals of the patient, is a frontliner. And not only those who are in the personal protective equipment. We are pleading that the government should also see the private facility.
We will get to that story.
Okay.
So on that note, let me introduce our next guest.
All right, thank you very much. I had more.
Who's the Executive Director of the Bureau of Public Safety. As you can see, Frederick is far from me because we are, respecting social distancing, and Nana Yakwada is joining us virtually as part of the process to stay home and not come out. So good morning, Nana.
Good morning, Jifa.
How are
it's
you?
Unfortunate. I'm fine, thank you. Days that I want you to interview me, then they will bring my friend. And days that I'm away, they will put you in the seat.
It's okay, but it's still good to have you here with us virtually. It's always a pleasure having you. I hope you're well.
I'm great, thank you, Jifa.
Okay, so
and I give you your in-house guest and your viewers.
okay, I like what you've done with the background and everything. You're ready. We'll take a look at our first story here. And Frederick hinted it a bit, so I'm reading from citynewsroom.com. It says, Lekma Hospital doctor confirmed COVID-19 positive. So we take that story from City Newsroom. Who works at the Lejokuku Municipal Hospital at the Lekma Hospital at Teshi in the Greater Accra region has tested positive for COVID-19. The medical officer is the first frontline medical staff known publicly to have contracted the disease. City News sources say the doctor may have picked up the virus while working with a private facility in assisting the Ghana Aviation Company Limited to screen persons arriving in the country and some persons in quarantine. Reports indicate that due to the knowledge of the fact that such practitioners risk contracting the disease, a decision was taken that all those involved in the screening be screened themselves. Following that exercise, the doctor's screening result came out COVID positive, although he is asymptomatic. So Lekma Hospital has since closed down for a disinfection exercise in accordance with the stated protocols because the doctor in question conducted a procedure at the theater. We also know that in Tamale, 36 health professionals are in quarantine because they came into contact with 2 Burkina Faso. I'll take that story from Daily Graphic and then hear from Frederick. So on the front page of the Daily Graphic, they are saying it's actually 37, and I'm going to take that story from page 21. So the details of that story, some members of staff of the dialysis units of the Tamale Teaching Hospital who came into contact with one of the 2 Burkina Faso who tested positive for the coronavirus disease in Tamale have begun a 2-week period of self-isolation outside the hospital. The affected medical staff, numbering 37, include doctors and nurses at the unit. So before I even get to Frederick, I think we should hear from Nana Yao on this because they were championing us even instituting the lockdown as far as last week. And now we are hearing one doctor in Accra has come out positive. 36 or 37 doctors in Tamale are in self-quarantine as a result of coronavirus. Nana Yao, your thoughts on the story?
Well, I think it's unfortunate, but it's expected. We have heard severally from leaders that we are in a war, and all know that at war certainly there will be casualties, and these are our frontliners. We just hope and pray that even though they will be hit by all means, we hope that they survive such hits. And Jifa, if you would indulge me, just give me a minute and a half to appeal to my kith and kin way back in Ada and Togoku, to be specific. Yemambi Nenge Adan, Tobloku, Titiru, Ajokachewe, Akwadawe, Nita, Ke Ajabenwe. Aklawa Bime, Wale Wamion Lokawu, Se Ake Wukuba, Ne Jamawu Ole, Kumio, Emalam. Ne Jamawu acheke coronavirus. Coronavirus o inye awiye nye geomikla ne waheya ben pure ebaje wamam. Ne wani nye gbo wani nye jamahiono nui kolo wamahiem nyelo badike wahin wade wafo wade befebem wake jale kenyu wafo wade befebem ne jamahiono wakonu iba inya dokita fo igbe inya nurse fo igbe kolo wakra wahe saminya ne uno ne ibano okowe adabi wange kra pepa motuno ke nyenu announcement no nyewu ne ni de nyama kone no feno na efo edem ake jale kanyu ake for dem ke unawe jale kanyu le hu ne umana hand sanitizer le hu ne uke pe odem ne yono kokonu ake wahi wa migba hu wagba wa mi ne umanu yange denye radio no social distancing kolo ke uya ekune ni funga le jon ake koya ake hio ebenani se nomra desane ke hio nyo ko nyo yo manye kolo wakla wa bomade ne wahinwe mausina ke hanye kra motu.
Nana, can you kindly wrap up for us and translate briefly for our viewers?
I've actually wrapped up, and
Perfect.
I want to thank
right on time.
Thank you very much. So, like I was saying, I heard the in-studio guest actually say that the government must come through with protective equipment.
Yeah. But your thoughts in general about this whole lockdown? You were calling for the lockdown. We're finally instituting a partial lockdown. What are your thoughts on day 2 of the lockdown and the days ahead?
Well, yesterday, per our observation, we realized that the compliance level is okay, is appreciable. But from what we saw yesterday, if it's anything to go by, there is no doubt that in the coming days, we are going to have challenges with compliance. We have said this because, we have been on the case of the law enforcement agencies to, as much as possible, minimize the use of force. And, per nature, there are people who take things for granted. We have seen videos circulating about people just wanting to step out only to observe whether people are observing this lockdown.
Which is human nature, really.
Yes, and when you have such people coming in, you will need to talk these people back into their cubicles. And so we would want to see education up, in these times, because we must all realize, people must realize that for us to defeat this virus, we need collective discipline.
Yeah.
If we have people who are moved by sheer curiosity to violate these restriction orders, we are going to have challenges. There are people who also were literally, yesterday, my engagement with some of the security personnel, there were people who were literally on the roads because the roads were empty and they were just driving around town.
Which is what not to do.
Which is very, very worrying. And so moving forward, we would want to see education up. We should up the scale of education that we are doing. We should appeal more to people, for people to understand that COVID-19 is a reality. Even if they did not know, now our doctors are going down, our nurses are going down, our politicians are going down, ordinary persons are going down. So it is not a condition to actually play with. I believe that the police from yesterday, the law enforcement have done very well. We have very, very little news coming in of human rights abuses. And so we believe that the path that they have chosen from yesterday, we would want to see them, continue to tow that path, engage people, talk people back into their cubicles, advise people back into their cubicles, and troublesome ones should be taken care of.
What more should we be doing with the 12 days perspective?
Well, per our engagement at the Bureau, we anticipate that the 2-week lockdown may be extended. We anticipate it's not good news.
No.
That's what we think. We anticipate that it may be extended. The coverage also may be extended if what we saw, the movements we saw within the 2-day window, if it's anything to go by, the coverage may have to be extended by all means. We also anticipate, also expect the government or the response team to now put out graphically the spread in Ghana so that people will appreciate. Look, right now everything is in the bosom of the government and the Minister of Information. We called for a lockdown of the Greater Accra region and Ashanti region. The state came out to do lockdown of certain spaces within the 2 regions. It's because they have the data. We want the state to put this data in graphic terms out there. So if we have the map of Accra and then we see the dotted area, we can appreciate the red zones and the not so the dense red and the sparsely red zones. Then people will understand that this is really a scenario that we need to take care of. We would want to see in graphic terms the contacts tracing, where the contacts are being traced to, so that people will appreciate, because people are hearing about COVID-19 and attempts being made by government and all. But
I mean, we are, well.
No, I'm not saying.
Yeah, good.
I mean, this is something that, like I said, 3 months ago, I had never even heard the word Wuhan. I didn't even know a city was called Wuhan 3 months ago. And when these things started, I was like, all right, they'll deal with it. They'll deal with it. And it started and entered Europe. And I'm like, all right, it's fine. Then they said, oh, it doesn't attack black people and that the weather would not support it. I'm like, all right, then I'm safe. I'm like, I mean, our weather, if push comes to shove, I'll just go and live in Tamale or Wa, which is having the hottest weather. And then it comes to Nigeria. I mean, it came to Egypt first. I said, okay, they are Arab people, so it's fine. And then today we are here and we are having to lock down. I mean, 3 months ago, or 2 months ago when we were entering the new year, I'm not sure anybody thought that
even
we were not
earlier
going to
this month when we were going on Heritage Caravan, we were not thinking about
who would have stopped Mogo from happening, for instance? Who would have stopped Accra Music Expo from happening, for instance? I was ready to boogie,
But we're staying ahead of the curve, and we're doing the best we can as a country. And I think we should all be proud of the measures we've taken so far. And we're going to beat it.
When this thing is over, the thing I will do, you have no idea. I can't tell you on radio, on TV. It's not TV healthy.
Okay, so I read our first story from ccnewsroom.com about a doctor who has tested positive coronavirus at the Lekma Hospital. And 37 or 36 staff of the Tamale Teaching Hospital are now in self-quarantine because they came into contact with 2 Burkina Faso who were positive. So we're going to take Frederick's thoughts on that and then move to Umar Usanda Amadou. Frederick.
Yeah.
Lekma Hospital, first doctor tested positive in this country, and what's going on at the Tamale Teaching Hospital as far as 36 health professionals currently in self-quarantine. What does this mean for our health sector? We already know that doctor-to-patient ratio is nothing to write home about, doctor-to-nurse ratio. What are your thoughts on this?
Yes, we have a lot to do. In fact, when it comes to nurse-patient ratio and in doctor-to-patient ratio. Concerning the Lekma issue, I think we prior to this inception of this COVID-19,
Yeah.
IPC, like that's the infection prevention control, had been the hallmark of the health facilities. It's a compulsory something that you have to do because we use that one to even renew our pins, and so we are all taught how to do infection prevention control. That doesn't mean that that said doctor did not go through the protocols, yet because health service are at greater risk, excuse me, to contract the infection, he has gotten it, and it's quite scary. He might have done well, he might have put on the protective equipment well, yet he has really tested positive.
And he's asymptomatic.
Yes, that is the scariest aspect of it, because we are talking about immunity. That's why I said we should take the COVID, the theoretical aspects into consideration. If the general population is aware and knows the theoretical aspect of COVID-19, I think the fear and panic would also reduce, because we have hope that if your immunity is stronger, you wouldn't even show symptoms or signs of this COVID-19. But if in a situation where your immunity is a little bit low, that is when
you have a pre-existing health condition, for instance.
Yes, you and your age is above 55 years, you show this kind of symptoms. We wouldn't be perturbed with this news that came. All that we are asking the authorities is that PPEs should be provided so that we can work effectively. Because the Lekma doctor, I don't know the situation in which he was, whether he had, it was...
Well, they tested all of them for it.
Yes.
And he just came out.
Yes, and that is why we are advocating that all nurses should be tested. They should decentralize this testing system. Because if we only do the testing in Ngochi and the Kumasi, of which is not enough to cater for all of us, I think some of the nurses will be afraid, because even in our facility and elsewhere, other nurses are afraid, and so they have to take leave. Psychologically, they are down. And if you are psychologically down, your immunity goes down as well. And so the psychologist will tell you, if you think you are not in that position to take good care of this patient, kindly come forward and we will release you. That is why we are calling back those who have gone to steady leave to come back, to beef up the strength, the nurse patients, to bridge it, so that at least when on untoward situation the case escalates, we can be able to manage it.
Excellent. So we'll go for a quick break, and then we'll hear your thoughts on the Tamale situation, where they came into contact with one of the Burkinabés who tested positive, and your advice to the general public about perhaps staying home if you see any signs and not going into the hospitals. This is still Breakfast Daily on City TV. Thank you so much for staying with us. It is an interactive show, so whatever you're thinking, your thoughts, contributions to the conversation, we want to hear them. Use the hashtag Breakfast Daily for us to hear what you're thinking, and the WhatsApp line 0550585832 to reach us directly. If you happen to be outside Ghana, the country code is +233. Don't go anywhere. We'll take these messages and continue the show.
There is no promise we cannot keep. There is no commitment we cannot honor. There is no delivery we cannot guarantee. There is only one Bethel Logistics Company Limited, a licensed international freight forwarding and clearing agent, a trusted global brand with an extensive network for the movement of air freight and ocean freight worldwide. We are the trusted name for road freight into Western and Northern Africa. We are fully accredited by Ghana Customs and Excise. We cater for all your freight forwarding, customs clearing and forwarding, cross trades, inland transportation, internal cargo tracking systems, customer freight costing and consultancy, cold chain logistics management, logistics and warehousing, quality inspection, and much more. In Accra, Tema and Takrady, we are always available to ensure easy movement of cargo countrywide. Call us on 0204 528 900 or 0244 707 859. Email info@bethellogistics.com. Locate us in Accra at North Ridge, adjacent Accra Girls High School, or in Tema at Community 4, or in Takrady on the second floor of the GCB building. Website bethellogistics.com. Bethlog, experts in shipping logistics.
Welcome back. It's still Breakfast Daily on City TV. Thank you so much for staying with us. Again, the show is interactive, so if you want us to hear from you, the hashtag is Breakfast Daily. And if you want to reach us directly, the WhatsApp line is 0550-585-832. If you're outside Ghana, the country code is +233. I still have with me Frederick Owusi, who's the PRO of the Union of Professional Nurses and Midwives in Ghana. And before the break, we were discussing about 36 health professionals in the Tamale Teaching Hospital have to quarantine themselves because they came into contact with one of the 2 Burkina-based who have tested positive, and his thoughts on what we can all do to keep our health professionals safe in this whole fight against coronavirus. Frederick.
Thank you very much. It's very sad. 36 of our colleagues are in quarantine right now, and we pray that they all test negative. That is our prayer. To my fellow colleagues out there, I think the only thing we can do right now is that you have to be in your PPEs before you attend to any suspected or confirmed case, because with that PPE, you are putting your life, the lives of your colleagues and the entire team at risk. As we said, some are asymptomatic, and so you may not even feel it, and you may rather transmit it to your colleagues. So the best thing right now is to ensure that PPE are available for our nurses, our doctors, our paramedics, our
everyone in the health
system.
Sector, yeah.
Even the only have to, because we don't bring these people to land night, and they are doing the actual job, because they do the cleaning, they mop the walls.
The janitors.
Yes.
Okay.
They have to be given this PPEs. Okay. And I also entreat that in my knowledge that if you don't have PPE, you don't attend to any COVID suspected or confirmed case, because if you try it, and maybe your immunity is that strong, you may overcome it.
But you pass it on to your family members. Yeah.
You may send it home.
Yeah.
And for Tamale, we are because of this lockdown, we were advocating for total lockdown.
Really?
Yes.
Of the entire country?
Yes, that's what we were advocating for, because we are trying to contain the condition. You know, this the announcement of this lockdown, partial lockdown, we also saw how people were trooping to go to their villages.
Yeah.
In a situation where one has it and have traveled, even the bus, you can then, send it to the people in the village where they have not even heard of this coronavirus. They are naive. They don't even have TV to watch. So this thing is not airborne, though. But in a situation where we have a confirmed case, it's an aerosol.
Yeah.
So it can't travel that far. In the village, in my village, definitely it is not there.
How do you know for a fact?
For it's a village. It's a typical real village.
Okay.
And so
no one has left from Accra to your village yet? They are not positive.
Yes, they are not positive.
Okay.
So
where's your village? So you can go.
My village,
Yes.
in a village where they cut logs. Very rare village.
Where do I get a bus?
Anyway, let's wrap up so that Omar Sanda can get his message. But in the meantime, before we hear from Sanda, we have messages from you guys. So I'll read them briefly and then we will continue the show. And the messages are still coming in. So Sanda, it's perfect time for you to give us your thoughts on the one doctor who has officially been confirmed positive at the Lekma Hospital, as well as the 36 health professionals at the Tamale Teaching Hospital who are currently self-quarantined? What should we do to ensure that we all don't contribute to our already sad doctor-to-patient ratio, nurse-to-patient ratio?
So this is the case. When journalists, when there's trouble, when people are running away from the scene, that's when we move in. The same happens to doctors. While everybody is fleeing from COVID-19, that's where they are going to. And so the first thing you expect is that they would be knowledgeable about what to do and what not to do. And for me, I expect that if even the charcoal seller in the village may have by now have heard about what to do to prevent COVID-19, the doctor who is the frontline staff should also have known about this. And I'm sure this means wearing protective equipment and so on. It beats my mind. I'm wondering why a doctor, and if you listen to the explanations we're given, he was heavily involved in dealing with people who are suspected cases. Actually, he was doing what they call locum at the airport's clinic. And I'm told he knew, or at least everybody there knew, that this is the case they were dealing with. Is it the case that he was not protected at all, or there was a slip in the protection? That is a bit curious for me. If he was wearing the protective equipment, how did he contract it? I had a conversation with a fellow doctor, or his colleague yesterday, who said to me that, well, you know, people who have treated HIV, doctors who have treated HIV in the past have been found to also get some, because when you are taking the sample and so on, you may land yourself in trouble. But I don't think that's what it's supposed to be. I'm thinking that if you're protecting yourself, it means you're protecting yourself.
But we know that this doctor situation is not just unique to Ghana, right? In the US, for instance, a lot of doctors have come out positive, and they equip themselves with whatever it is that they can afford to equip themselves
but then
with.
as an ordinary person, if I'm told that the doctor who is attending to the people himself is not safe, and this is a doctor wearing PPEs, unless he's not wearing the PPEs. But if he really is or was wearing it and he still contracted this, then I'm really a bit concerned that if even the doctor, there's a saying that if crocodiles could eat their own eggs, what would they not do to the flesh of the frog?
But globally, the doctors, the health professionals are the people at most risk, because they are exposed
because
to
they
the
are at most
cases.
risk. If you and I are at risk, journalists, we know that we're supposed to talk to all manner of people, and these people could have anything. We are told to protect ourselves. And I'm asking, was he protected? And if he was protected, how did he still get it? Does it mean that the protection we are crying for is not foolproof? That would be a big problem for me. So then what's the use of the nose mask and the gloves that I'm wearing and the hand washing that I'm doing? And I'm sure the doctor would have gone to the tap. I mean, even if I go to a doctor, they don't even touch me. They still go to the tap and wash their hands. I see them do that. How much more someone dealing with something like this?
So we should beef up our PPEs.
Yeah, we should do that. Now, I have received calls from Konongo, the constituency where Vice Ose Kufoku Obo is coming from. I have been told by nurses there that somehow there has been an interaction with him and community members. And as a result, people living near the Konongo hospital are preventing people coming from the community where Obo is from. They're not allowing him. And this is happening. This is a story that we are following here.
But this is the kind of stigma we want to prevent in our country. Right? Because there's no shame to even being positive.
Exactly. But the nurses, they say they do not have PPEs.
So they can't treat, they can't get close.
Yes, I can also say to you that nurses and health workers at the surgical department of the Kelvinu Teaching Hospital, as we speak, do not have PPEs. Kelvinu is like the height of health facilities in Ghana. Surgical ward is like one of the critical places, or surgical block.
We've been told that thousands of PPEs have come into the country. So is it an issue
in fact,
of we're not
some of the nurses,
them evenly?
Some of the nurses who called us to complain said every day or almost all the time people come to make donations of PPEs to the Kelvinu Teaching Hospital, and they are wondering why they do not have it. Only people who are going on the theater wear the PPEs, and that everybody else is at the mercy of whatever happens.
So we need to look critically at what's going on in our
hospitals. We need to deploy more in the hospitals. You see, a carrier of COVID, when they appear at the hospital, is not written on their forehead.
Especially those who are not showing any symptoms.
Exactly. And if they don't even know, that makes it worse. If they knew, maybe they would alert you that, hey, guys, I'm here because I will not, don't touch me, blah, blah, blah. But they may not know. This is someone who's
and if
just...
they know, they have no business being in the hospital in the first place. They're supposed to stay home and call.
Exactly, but you know, education and all of this. So someone just gets a cough and they decide, well, this cough is becoming persistent, or they're having a high fever and they decide, all right, let me just go to the hospital.
And that's what not to do
and
in this coronavirus
yes,
days.
and so they show up, and it's just a normal thing for them. They've come to me, they have, and you know how hospitals are cumbersome. You have to get a folder. Getting a folder can take you 1,000 years.
So Sandra, should this be an opportunity for us to educate ourselves that if you have any sort of sign at all, don't take it as business as usual to go take a folder, go touch a pen.
Yes.
Just stay home.
Okay.
What should we do to protect our health professionals?
What if you have the COVID, but it has not manifested yet? What you have is a stomach pain. And that's not one of the symptoms, right?
Yeah.
You could even have a wound and you're just going to get treated. Because there are people who have showed up, they have kidney problems and they've ended up dying as a result of COVID. So I'm saying that the person could show up in the hospital for any reason at all, not necessarily symptoms of COVID, but they may be having it. So, to begin with, when you enter the hospital, who are you going to meet first? Are these people protected? If even journalists like you and I, when we are going on the field, we wear the protective gear, how much more people who are directly involved? And I'm saying that for now, the hospitals, I believe, should be treating every case as a COVID case.
And protect all health professionals.
Everybody
with
should be
PPEs,
protected.
not just those dealing with coronavirus.
The issue of the Lekma hospital, like I said to you, he contracted this from the airport clinic. I do not know what's happening at the airport clinic, but we are told that there's been contact tracing. That's not even the worst part. He was at Lekma hospital. He performed a surgery, or he helped deliver a woman. That woman and her baby. What is the state of affairs as we speak? The nurses who were on the ward or the theater when he was delivering that woman, what's happened to them? We have received information from a lot of the nurses that Lekma Hospital has not quarantined them. They've asked to be quarantined. That has not happened. They want to be, I mean, they are doing it in their homes, but they do not have the necessary logistics to do that. And it's becoming problematic. We are also told that there were other medical staff who were present when he was doing all of this. And this is someone who comes to do consulting. You can imagine the number of people that will get. And I'm not saying that because he's tested positive, he should be condemned to death. I'm just saying that what measures have we taken post facto that he has actually confirmed it?
Story.
We've been able to trace everybody. What if people have not been traced properly? Like I said, the Lekma people, how many people may have known that they even, this doctor is the one who has done A, B, C, D? Because see, another thing we are not doing in this case is that we are not mentioning names of people. I don't know
for their
why.
own safety, because in this country, you just rightfully mentioned Obor's hometown and people not thinking that patients from there are positive.
Exactly.
How do we even address this issue of stigma? Because other parts of the world, if you are positive, it does not mean that you are a walking disease.
It doesn't mean so. But if I do not know whom, for instance, there's a person we are told who tested positive, who moved all the way from Accra to Wa. And imagine he went by public transport. If they don't give me any description of this person, and I was on a bus from Accra to Wa, and every day I'm not sure only one bus moves from Accra to Wa. So you can imagine the number of buses that move on that day. We have not even been told which date he moved from Accra to Wa. We don't know what stops the bus made. If I'm not given all that information and I was on the bus, how would I know? You know, so at least give us some, even if you don't mention the name of the person, at least tell us that if you were on a bus from Accra to Wa at this time of the day on this date, there was a gentleman on your bus wearing a cap or wearing a green whatever pullover. Please report to the nearest hospital and let them know, or call this number and tell them ABCD. At least it gives you some idea that you may, because for instance, the ambassador, when he tested positive, all the journalists who were there, they were called. I mean, and all the people they were called and told because he's an ambassador. But what about ordinary people who test positive? And for me, that's the thing. The contact tracing really is a big issue, and we have to deal with it.
And we're being told that most of the people with the Lekma case, specifically the nurses, were all tested as well to ensure
that has proven to be negative, because a lot of the nurses have said to us when we're doing eyewitness news here yesterday, a lot of the nurses sent us messages.
That they have not
been tested. And I can read some of the messages that they've sent to us, if you don't mind.
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead. Read some of it. Find it for us. But let's hear from Frederick on this issue of University of Ghana. Some people are saying perhaps because they were in a controlled environment, it was easier to find them and test them. But in general, what can we learn from the fact that 94 of the people who came into contact with this patient have all tested negative?
I think when the news broke, there was proactiveness in the search of this, in the way of tracing those who might have come in contact with the positive case. Because of the proactiveness, we were able to at least get the people, and the school was also ready to help.
Yeah.
That is why they have to close the school immediately to contain the condition. We thank God that they've all come out to test negative, and we are happy for that, because we would be the first point of call, the University of Ghana Medical Center. We are close, very close to them. And now I think the social distancing, for them, all that they need is the social distancing will be the best, and the virtual lectures they're having online will also help. If they allow them to come back, we wouldn't know. And I may not pinpoint that 100% contact tracing was done. Some might not come out to say, I came in contact with such, or you might come in contact, but you know, be aware that you came in contact with such person. So as we are all waiting for the deadline for this lockdown, or the 1 month that the university gave to their students that they should go home, social distance should be observed, and try as much as possible not to come close to their fellow, so that they wouldn't get the infection. They should abide by it. And hand washing, personal hygiene, let's put in totality, personal hygiene should be observed. And I think we'll be able to contain the condition and reduce it and come out of this pandemic totally.
Thank you very much. We've received some messages from our viewers, so I'll read them briefly and then we'll continue with our guests who are here with us. So where do I even start from? Okay. Eric Hakuna says, this turbulent times has clearly shown how wicked our market women are. In Koforidua, Agatha Market, prices of foodstuff are skyrocketing, rendering a lot of people low purchasing power. I suggest a team of security personnel go around to check this abnormal pricing in our markets. Let's stay home. I think the Greek minister came out to say that they can't really do much, but as consumers, if you find someone like Agatha Market, you know, profiteering, just don't buy from her. And if we all desist from buying from people who want to profiteer, they won't have any choice but to bring their prices down. Hello, you guys are doing a tremendous job. It is quite difficult to adapt to a new way of life, because I will plead with my fellow Ghanaians to try as much as possible to cope and also stay at home. For now, the only cure to COVID-19 is the vaccine called Stay at Home. Okay, I'm staying at home to live, so try to do the same. Alfred from Akoso, I think this is excellent. So the vaccine for coronavirus right now is to stay at home. Good morning. In fact, I don't know what's wrong with the people of Ghana. Only 2 weeks they disobeyed the instructions. Why? Okay, it's actually day one, but I think the large majority of us actually complied. And this is coming from China, Kwamu. Good morning, I'm Bruce inside as Shaman. Please tell Ghana Water Company that they are not helping the situation at all. They will not allow water to flow in our homes. They need to be advised. Ghana Water Company Limited, please, we're telling people to wash their hands with running water and soap. So let's do our best to provide them with the water they need to stay clean. Jagos from Islam says, my fellow Ghanaians, please let us comply with the measures put in place by the government to help prevent the spread of this coronavirus. If you have nothing to do in town, kindly stay at home with your family, because Ghana needs you. I think it's critical that feedback on the laboratory results of suspected COVID-19 cases get to the regions and districts as soon as possible to minimize the use of limited PPEs. COVID-19 suspects are attended to using the same level of precautions, PPEs, as in confirmed cases. Ruling out the diagnosis of COVID-19 in suspects early enough means limited PPEs are spread. This is coming from Steve in Sandema. Please, we are talking about preventive measures for COVID-19. Please, sometimes try to advise our sisters to stay away Okay, I don't think this is the time for teenage pregnancy because everybody's home with their family members. But thank you, Frames, for sending that message in. Good morning, CCTV. My name is Bab from Airport Residential Area. Please, my problem is the security service that were deployed to protect people and property and also to educate people on the issue of coronavirus. Please, is that what the security persons are doing? At least day one, day two, they need to be educating the people who are outside. I'm sorry, their actions are unprofessional. And this is related to some of the videos that are circulating of policemen punishing a few people. Okay, I vehemently and passionately calling on the government to establish COVID-19 testing centers in Greater Tamale. But we are traveling to the south. I think every region now has a center for coronavirus. This is guy from AU Farouk from Tamale. Hi, Jifa. My name is Patience Ozof from Second Junction. I was glad when I heard Nana talking about COVID-19 in Dangme. I think we should do more in the other areas. Okay, so you talk about Nana Yawakwada talking in his language. I think it's good for those of us who know a local language to begin educating everyone else in that language. I agree with this message, Patience. There are lots more messages here, but I do want to hear from Sanda as far as the people who did not stay home, and you have some messages from the nurses at the Lekma Hospital, so you touch on that briefly, and then we'll address the issue of people who are so curious about what's going on outside that they don't want to stay home.
So some of us who came into contact with infected persons have not been tested, and no one is calling and checking up to tell us anything. Please, our families are calling and asking us questions, and we don't know what to say. Some nurses have still not been tested, self-quarantining in their single rooms with their families.
Wow.
While others are in hotels. Management has not even called to encourage them. Ask him about pregnant women who he operated on and so on, and the baby, have they been quarantined and so on. So these are questions that are coming from nurses who are so people who have been operating in the place, and now we are told that the theater is sort of being closed while they try to disinfect the place and so on. So it's good, but I think more should be done. And this is not we shouldn't panic, but when people hear that a doctor is infected or has tested positive, they will be scared. I mean, it's like in the UK, when the Prime Minister tests positive, even the Prime Minister himself tests positive, then you, the ordinary man, you have to be careful. And so that's why...
But we do know that the large majority of people will go on to survive.
Exactly. So that's why we all have to take seriously the instructions that have been given to us. I mean, I was listening to Donald Trump yesterday. He's saying that social distancing will save millions of Americans, and it's something that we should also consider.
And he should have been more proactive earlier on, not now, but we'll leave that for another topic.
Not talk about
Let's
Trump.
move on to the people who are not necessarily following the stay-at-home measure. People are trying to go into their hometowns because they feel as though, you touched on the Kayayes a bit, but then there are also people who are like, we don't want to be here. We want to go because the coronavirus is here. What do we do with them, and the way the security officials are also handling them? Okay,
so I was in Nima yesterday, and you see, there are a lot of practical challenges with the lockdown. So you've told the people, the president has said that the front line of the war or the battle against corona is your front door. If you go to Nima, people don't really have a front door. I mean, there are communities where there really isn't a front door.
What do you mean by that?
Your front door is someone's front door, essentially.
So everybody's together in a way.
And I have entered a community in Mamobi yesterday where the houses are, I mean, it's just, there's enough space for maybe two people to walk side by side.
How do you practice social distancing in isolation?
You cannot. I have seen a father, a mother, and a child sleeping in what looks like a porch. But it's really not a porch. And they said the room is too hot, and it's in the afternoon. Now, there are rooms which are like cubicles, housing over a dozen people. How can these people practice social distancing?
Has the state done enough to provide for people like the people you are mentioning?
No, that would take millions of years. Our state did.
But you mentioned empty churches.
We haven't done it.
Empty
we
schools,
haven't done it.
Empty dormitories.
Our Minister for Works and Housing, MP for Ibuakwa South, lawyer Samuel Atachia, last year, was it 2 years ago, gave us a grand master plan about
some affordable housing
to develop Nima.
Around Nima,
yeah.
I'm
not sure they've even put a pickaxe to the ground to dig and say we are laying the first stone.
But how do we address this issue?
So it's a big challenge. Look,
Because we can't have security agencies going out to control people when people don't even have...
So yesterday,
those
I
kind
was
of
with the
spaces.
task force from the Ayawaso North Municipal Assembly, and there was a military man, there was a policeman, and they were supposed to ensure people stay indoors. But you should see it. Like, I went to a place where it's a kiosk that serves as a room for girls, and I know there were more than 4, but they told me there were 4, but there's so many in that room. And it's like a lotto kiosk, the size of a lotto kiosk, and they had a straw mat on the floor, and that's what they sleep on.
Okay. So I'm sure the government, especially since the finance minister is going out to get more money, will address that issue. But for those people who have space at home and should stay indoors and are choosing to go out because they are curious about what's going on outside, and those of us who are trying to sneak into other regions, what's your advice for us?
Curiosity may be one of the reasons people are going out, but I think for a lot of people, it's not only curiosity. When you have to use the public toilet,
but that's an exemption made by the president.
Yeah, but when you have to go and buy food,
that's also an exemption. So you
yeah,
won't get in
so
trouble for
there
that.
will be so many exemptions for a lockdown. I mean, it's a lockdown, and yet you can go out and go and buy wache. You can go, except that don't eat the wache over there. You can go and use the public toilet. Our systems may not be ready for a lockdown. We do not have the systems, but I think you asked about the security for how they are doing it. I've seen a video of them making someone do the sports.
I don't know the English.
I don't know if that's what they should be deploying at this time.
They should be educating people.
I think they should do education and then minimal enforcement. Okay. But if you just want to go on the enforcement with the helicopters flying in, I mean, there are people who perhaps have not seen. I saw the tank, the one the military people used in Kaswa yesterday. Them, yeah. I was wondering why they would deploy that there.
We are not at war.
And then there was a helicopter overhead, and people generally want to see helicopters.
Thank you.
I think they shouldn't use the brute force they plan to use. It's not going to help anybody.
Thank you. Frederick, you get the last word. Everything we've discussed, as well as the people who are curious, but particularly touching on those of us who may not even be able to practice the social distancing. What more should the government be doing?
All right. I think I will start with the health professionals and then come to the mainstream. Colleagues out there, I think we will still iterate it again that if there's no
PPEs, don't touch anything.
Don't try as much as possible to see a patient in that room. Don't go there, because if you contract this, we don't have the exact medication for this virus.
Globally, not just Ghana.
Vaccines hasn't been produced, and so basically we are treating the symptoms that comes with it. And if your immunity is strong and you are able to go through, we thank God for your life. Health personnel, the PPE and social distancing for those out there. Hand washing is one of the best things. We all saw the sanitizers, how prices was hiked concerning the sanitizers. In my perspective, I think even if you don't have the sanitizer and you can wash your hand frequently, it's the best thing.
That's the best option, actually.
It's the best thing, because you are washing away any virus that come in contact with your hand. There's another thing called the format, of which we leave it. The wristwatch, the wallet, the phones, even our dresses are all forms of things that this virus attaches itself to. And you see people, health workers, some of them going to hospital with wallets,
gadgets and everything.
Wristwatch. So I don't put, since this thing came, I don't put on those things. Earrings, those things, long hair and stuff like that. I think at this time, health worker, you shouldn't put on all those things. Make sure you go there with your phone with that wallet and stuff like that. Those things would help. And when it comes to the recalcitrant people that still want to come out and see, the curious in them, they want to display their curiosity, I think they have to stay away from it. Me, I'm afraid of police. I'm afraid of a military man. So I don't want to come out. Even yesterday, I was off duty. I have to stay indoor and sleep. And I think gain more energy to come here
today.
And go to work
glad
this afternoon.
That you're here with us. Thank you.
So we are still saying that if there's no PPE, UPNMG is saying don't dare go to the hospital and work.
Okay.
Because when you fall victim, it is you and your life.
Thank you very much,
You're
Frederick Ewusi is the PRO of the Union of Professional Nurses and Midwives, Ghana. And of course, Umaru Sanda Amadou is host of Eyewitness News. You can catch him at 17:30 GMT on 97.3 City FM. Up next, we'll be talking to Dr. Kelvinu Owusu. It's a time for you to ask him all the questions related to health that you may have about regarding coronavirus or COVID-19. So just send those questions in with a hashtag Breakfast Daily and WhatsApp line 0550585832, and we'll be sure to ensure that he answers all your questions before we are through with him. If you're outside Ghana, the country code to use is +233. Don't go anywhere. David will be talking to Dr. Kelvinu Owusu right after this.
You've been gone, it's an empty. Don't forget you are welcome home, welcome home.
And the number for Cactus Creek is 055-039-5007.
There is nothing as hard as a diamond. For buildings with superior strength that withstand all weather conditions, Flour, Takrady and Bupe, diamond cement, as hard as a diamond.
I'm stuck on you. Got this feeling down deep in my soul that I just can't lose. 'Cause I'm on my way. I needed a friend, and the way I feel now, I guess I'll be with you till the end. 'Cause I'm on my way. Mighty glad you stayed. Sha-la-la-la, oh babe, mighty glad you stayed. Oh, yeah. I'm stuck on you, been a fool too long. I guess it's time for me to come on home. Said I'm on my way. So hard to see that a man like you could wait around for a woman like me. Said I'm on my way. I'm mighty glad you stayed. Oh, babe, I'm mighty glad you stayed. Oh, little darling, I'm coming home to stay. I'm stuck on you. I've been here for too long. I guess it's time for me to come on home. Said I'm on my way. Hey, so hard to see that a man like you could wait around for a woman like me. Said I'm on my way. I'm mighty glad you stayed. Oh, babe, mighty glad you stayed. Oh, babe. Well, I'm leaving on that midnight train tomorrow, and I know just where I'm going. About that much trouble, said I've thrown them all away. Oh, babe. 'Cause this time, little darling, I'm coming home to stay. I'm stuck on you.
All right, welcome back from that break. And it's been a fantastic show so far this morning, and I trust that you've been enjoying your time with us. We have lots and lots of messages from you, and I'll read them at a point during this next segment. But it's time to talk health, and health with our resident doctor, Dr. Kelvin Owusu. Now, Dr. Kelvin Owusu is the CEO, the MD of Optimal Care Diagnostics. Now, he's going to be joining us by Zoom, and he's actually on standby. Dr. Kelvin, good morning.
Good morning, David.
How are
Good
you?
to be here. I'm very well, very well. Keeping my
Fantastic. It's good. It's good to have you here with us this morning by virtual connection.
Yes, so technology is helping us to deal with the social distancing.
I know. Yes. Well, Doc, what are your thoughts so far as the implementation of the protocols that the government has put in place? Right now, we're doing a partial lockdown. Where do you see us in the fight against COVID-19?
Well, I think this is definitely progress. I mean, we started off with what's it called, restricting movement into the country, airports, and then now it has been extended, but has been escalated to include restriction of movements from intercity movements from Accra and Kumasi to other cities, and even intra-city has also been limited as well. Well, I still think that there needs to be a lot more restriction of movement because there's a lot of people out on the streets. Of course, I understand where the government is coming from by allowing certain people to be exempt because the nation still must function some way, somehow. But a lot more people are on the street when they really don't need to be on the street. And so the education needs to go on, keep going on so that we can continue to reduce the number of people on the street. Because if you don't go out, the virus does not move. And so as much as possible, stay home if you don't have anything important or anything pressing to attend to in town. Because you are putting yourself at risk when you go outside of your home. And putting those you are leaving behind also at risk. And the government is doing a bit more than they were doing before. We are expecting a lot more to be done along the line, especially with protecting the health workers and by making available the protective equipment, the PPE, and all those things. And if also we could have a lot more testing facilities, testing sites, and make available so that we can test a lot more people more quickly. All those things need to be put in place as soon as possible.
Fantastic. So we have listeners started sending in their questions this morning, anticipating you coming on air to answer them. So I'm going to go through questions one by one, and then you can answer for them. I feel a heaviness in my head when I bow my head down. Am I okay? This is from a listener.
Well, you're not okay. That's why you're probably feeling the heaviness. However, this may not necessarily be related to coronavirus. It could be that you are having a headache. It could be a tension headache. It could even be a migraine. And so it might not necessarily be related directly to this coronavirus that we're all afraid of. But because we are not the usual time, it might be difficult to get attention immediately. And so if it's not interfering with your daily activity, you can take some pain medication and then let's observe it for a couple more days and see how you respond. If there's no vomiting, if there's no dizziness, and if there's no fainting, we can observe at home for now.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Hi, guys. Good morning. I've been experiencing some chest pains and pains around my heart area. I also bring out lots of phlegm, and I always have phlegm in my throat. I visited the district hospital to undertake my labs and x-ray, only to be told there's nothing wrong with me. It's been almost 7 months now, so I resorted to drinking some herbal concoctions, but still there's no difference. Please help me. This is coming from Meghad Asari.
Okay, so it's a bit too general. The way the question was put, but is it related to eating? Does the pain get worse when you eat, or does it get worse when you're hungry? Do you get the pain when you lie down flat, or you get the pain all the time? And it could be a heartburn, it could be a gastritis, which is sometimes the stomach acid will rise into the esophagus, into your what's it called? Where when you swallow food, where it passes, it's called the esophagus. Sometimes the stomach acid can come up and irritate that space, and it can behave like a pain around your heart. And so that might be something that you have to look at. Please try taking an antacid. If it helps improve the symptoms, then most likely it is the gastritis I'm referring to. So we can do that, and then let's see if it gives you some relief.
All right. Can you just run through that bit again? If it's gastritis, what should they do temporarily to see if it makes a difference?
You can take an antacid.
Antacid, okay.
Yes, antacid can help. If the antacid brings some relief, then it's most likely that you have a gastritis.
Okay.
In which case, when you do go to the hospital, they can be more definite about what treatment options to give you.
All right. Okay. Thank you. All right, Doc. Please, I have coughing issues from 23rd January until now. It mostly comes in the night. I'm afraid when I go to the hospital, they will tell me it's COVID-19. Now, this is coming from James Ignatius. It's interesting. 23rd January up till now, is it COVID-19?
Yeah. If it was indeed from 23rd January, then it's not likely to be COVID-19, especially since you haven't had any form of treatment or any form of hospital care.
Yeah.
Because COVID-19 tends to be a bit more severe, requiring some admission at some point. So if you haven't had any change in severity, then it's not likely COVID-19. However, if you are coughing for that long, it's also not normal. And so, you still need to, get attended to as much as possible. Of course, since 2019, means that you can wait a few more days. So right after the lockdown, if all is clear, you can go and have it checked out. However, in the interim, you can take some cough mixture to try and reduce the discomfort.
Right.
And then you take it from there.
All right. Thank you. Doctor, my wife went to antenatal on Friday at LECMA. How safe are we with this LECMA doctor issue? This is coming from Tenishon Holali.
Okay, so with respect to the particular doctor who has tested positive in LECMA, it does not mean that everybody who went to LECMA is going to get infected. However, those who may have come in contact with the particular doctor will definitely be contacted by the team so that the appropriate precautions will be put in place. However, the Minister of Education actually made a comment that I agree with respect to antenatal visits. Now, if it's not an emergency situation, and the advice is that stay home, don't go for antenatal clinic, at least within this 2 weeks of lockdown. Let us try and get things under control, and then you can resume your antenatal visit. Of course, however, if it's an emergency situation or something that needs urgent attention, by all means, please go to the hospital, but make sure that you follow the social distancing protocols that have been established right from your house through the trotro or taxi, and even at the hospital, so that we minimize the risk as much as possible.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that. Bright is asking, should we do more exercise at this time?
Yes, we should. We should do more exercise because exercise is known to keep the immune system boosted and strong. And so within reason, we must do a lot more exercise. Unfortunately, going outside to exercise is not advised. And so within your own house, you can jog around the house, do some skipping, some stretching exercises, and all these things will help make you stay healthy. Of course, also need to eat much. You need to eat well, so a lot more fruits, a lot more vegetables, because these contain a lot of antioxidants and minerals and vitamins that can help support the immune system in these days.
All right. So there's another one here that says, good morning. Thank you very much for the good work you're doing on the COVID-19 coverage. Can you explain, please, in simple words, why do we need to frequently wash our hands under running water with soap and the whole practice of social distancing? Break it down in as simple terms as possible. That's what they're asking.
Okay. So you need to wash your hands frequently because it is your hand that will come into contact with the droplets, for lack of a better word. Somebody may have coughed in your absence, somebody may have sneezed in your absence. These droplets will settle on your surfaces, your table, your computer, your door handles, your chairs, and all these things. These are places where you are going to touch, you are going to use your computer, you are going to, you are going to fix things, you are going to open a door. So your hands are constantly interacting with droplets that may be in the environment. And so once you wash your hand, you remove these droplets from there, so that in the event that you mistakenly eat food or you mistakenly touch your face or touch your nose, you will not get infected. However, they're also saying that try and avoid touching your face, because even if your hands are clean and you keep touching your mouth, you keep touching your eyes, you keep touching your nose, you are introducing these droplets into these places. And these three places are areas where the virus can get easy access into the system. And once that happens, then the infection may establish itself and then you have the disease COVID-19. Now, social distancing is also important because even as you are talking to people, you are releasing droplets. So you need that gap of 1 meter to 2 meters away from every person around you. So that when that person is talking or that person is coughing, the droplets do not come to you. They will fall on the ground before, away from you. And so if you stay close to somebody, if you stand close to somebody, the person is talking to you or the person coughs, you are immediately exposed to the droplet and they are likely to catch the infection. And so social distancing is important also, secondly, because you cannot tell who has the disease, because it's a virus that has been shown to spread even before symptoms start. And because you cannot tell who has the disease, it's important to stay away from everybody or give that diameter around yourself away from everybody so that nobody can introduce the droplets into your system. That's basically what social distancing is all about.
All right. Now, this is my question. Just a clarification on what you just talked about. When we talk about droplets, right, we are imagining little bits of spittle here and there. But I'm asking this question because in Ghana, the temperature is so warm that we don't see water vapor coming out of people's mouths when they speak. However, it is because if you move into a different environment where the temperature is colder, what you see is that when people are huddled together and they're speaking, you see water vapor coming out of people's mouths. Now, this vapor, does it constitute a droplets of water? I want to get your clarification on that.
So this is a bit difficult to answer. I mean, as you breathe in and out, the air that comes in and the air that comes out of your body is a bit moist.
Yes.
And so when it comes out and interacts with the cold weather, it sort of freezes the moisture in the air, in the air that you just breathe out. Yeah. And so that is why you see the vapor-like kind of thing. Now, as to the droplets you are talking about, yes, as you are talking, and you are breathing, especially if you have a cold and you are breathing out, or it's a bit labored, and so every time you do that, there's some more secretion that is being released into the atmosphere, and even as you talk, a lot more of the discharge, the droplets are coming out. And so yes, the vapor can be used as to show how much is coming out of everybody's mouth at any point in time, so that you understand that being close to that person could expose you to these droplets that we are referring to. It's not intentional. It's a subconscious. I mean, it happens normally when everybody is talking, coughing, sneezing. In fact, when you sneeze, even in Ghana, when you sneeze, you notice that a lot of things come out of your nose. But that's because there's a lot of force coming with the sneeze. So that's why you see it. when you are talking normally, you don't tend to see it most of the time, but then it's still happening. And so it's good that you keep that distance so that you avoid any contact with any such droplet that's coming from somebody else around you.
All right. So, more questions. Doctor, please, I have been having an itchy throat for 2 days now. Is this something I should worry about? It's coming from Cosmos.
Well, a lot of things can cause an itchy throat, including an allergy or it could just be a normal itch. Because, I mean, every now and then, even your body, your skin, when you're sitting down, you feel an itch, you have to scratch it. Now, unfortunately, you can't scratch your throat, and so that is why it could be nothing. However, if it's going on a long time and it's associated with other things, if there's pain, you notice a discharge or discoloration when you open your mouth, when you open your mouth, look in the mirror, you may observe some color change or some discharge. Then it's something that you might want to have it looked at because it could be leading to something else. And so, but just an itch by itself could be nothing. It could just be a normal itch that the throat doctor experiencing, like sometimes it's on your skin.
But for 2 days, is it not as a matter of concern?
Well, that's what I mean. That it could also have been an allergy.
Okay.
Because, for instance, some people are allergic to, let's say, pineapple. You eat pineapple and then you notice you begin to itch. So it could also be an allergy. So he would have to look through in his history and figure out, has this happened before?
Yeah.
What was the cause at that particular time? But as I'm saying, if the itch is associated with pain, if there's an associated maybe discharge or discoloration in the throat, all these could point that it is something else. If it's just an itch by itself, it could mean nothing.
Okay, thank you. I have one from NS. NS is asking, I have this condition where my wrist bone sometimes feels like it's popped out of its socket. It really hurts. When I got an x-ray done, it revealed nothing. I kept going, but it's becoming a bother for the doctors. Do I have to? No, I was becoming a bother to the doctors. Do I have to worry? NS is asking.
Well, so long as you're having pain, I mean, pain is not normal. So you really have to find out why you're having pain, especially in an area where nobody else seems to have pain and nobody else seems to know what's going on. And if they've done an X-ray and the X-ray revealed nothing, once you are still having pain, you will have to go to the next level, which is probably a CT scan or even an MRI to find out exactly what's going on. Because if your wrist needs to be free to move, to be able to use your hand effectively. And so if you're having a discomfort in the wrist, which is preventing you from using your hand, that's about that. If the general practitioners are not finding a solution for you, you may want to request a referral to see an orthopedic surgeon. And I use orthopedic surgeon because that's their name. It doesn't mean that they are going to perform surgery, but at least they are specialist bone doctors who can maybe see what the general practitioner is not seeing. And so I recommend that if it's really bothering you, you request that you want to see an orthopedic surgeon, and then they would then look at it and then see if there's really something going on and what can be done about it.
Okay, super. Thank you. Another question. Can COVID-19 be transmitted through sweat?
It's a respiratory condition, it's a respiratory disease that is transmitted through respiratory droplets, either from coughing, from sneezing, or from touching infected surfaces. And so for now, there's no evidence that you can spread it or you can catch coronavirus from sweat.
All right. Doctor, my throat is dry and I feel heavy in my chest. What's the issue?
So a dry throat could be a function of the weather because it's been kind of hot in these past few times. It could also be because you are scared. And for one of the signs of being scared is that your throat becomes dry. I mean, we see this, we read about this in the novels and in the movies. And so it could be because of the times that we are in, you are scared that, what should I do and all those things. So that's why your body is responding with a dry throat. And so it by itself is not a big deal, but if it becomes persistent, especially when you know that you are not scared or you don't have any issue, then you might want to see a throat specialist to see what exactly is going on. But I think with respect to the corona, dryness of the throat is not really a symptom of this coronavirus at all.
All right, so I've been running with diarrhea since last week. I want to know if it is a symptom of COVID-19.
So generally, coronavirus or this COVID-19 does not have a symptom of diarrhea. If you are having diarrhea for this long, it's most likely not related to the coronavirus at all. However, it could be something else, and because again, you're having diarrhea, which is not a normal thing. And the question I'd like to ask is the diarrhea, is there any blood in the stool? Is there any mucus in the stool? Is there any pain when you are pooping and all that? If everything else is fine, it could just be that you get something that your body is not happy with, and so it's trying to get rid of it. And so just if you are not vomiting, if you are not weak, if you're able to continue your normal daily activities, just observe for now. See, the thing about diarrhea is that most of the time when people have diarrhea, they are tempted to go and take drugs that will stop the diarrhea, which most likely is what happens because diarrhea usually will not last that long if it's just a food that you eat. You actually end up doing like you end up prolonging the duration of the diarrhea because diarrhea is a body's natural reflex to remove toxins. You eat something your body doesn't like, so the body sort of trying to get rid of that thing by making you go to the toilet plenty. When you take drugs to stop it, it means that the toxin is staying in your body longer. So you tend to prolong the duration of diarrhea. So I'll say that don't take any medication initially. Just allow the diarrhea to clear whatever is happening, and then you have your normal functioning back. So long as you are not weak, you are not vomiting, there's no blood in the toilet, and there's no mucus or anything like that, just allow it to run its natural course.
All right. More questions. I am Nas, and my question is, after doctors attend to an infected patient who's been infected with COVID-19, do they take off their protective dressing themselves, or do they have an assistant? What's the protocol?
So it depends. So there are different levels of protective equipment. Some of them, or most of them, you actually take off yourself. I mean, of course, within the confines of the changing room. In which case, you take it off and then discard it immediately without coming in contact with any other person. Sometimes you need an assistant. There are some that somebody needs to close you from behind, and so somebody needs to assist you in taking them off. But of course, the person assisting you is him or herself also clothed in the protective gear, so there's no risk of transfer of anything to that person. And they are well trained in how to assist each other in dressing up and then also in taking off the protective equipment.
All right. Hello, good morning. I am a midwife and pregnant. What are the measures to take during COVID-19 period, this COVID-19 period?
So with respect to pregnancy and related things, there's no special instruction with respect to coronavirus. What I'm saying is that whether you are pregnant or not, the instructions are the same. Social distance, wash your hands, use sanitizer, eat well, among other things, and try and exercise as much as possible within reason. So the fact that you are pregnant doesn't give you any extra precaution. However, you have to understand that because you are pregnant, you are supporting two or sometimes multiple immune systems. And so, whereas maybe a regular person will just take their one orange and be okay with vitamin C, you may have to do a bit more. And so that is why all the pregnant women are given multivitamin and other medication during pregnancy to keep their immune system boosted to support the baby that's developing in them. So you have to make sure that in these days you take your medications religiously and you eat well as you can within these days.
All right. Can Dettol be used to disinfect surfaces to prevent COVID-19?
Yes, you can use Dettol. In fact, almost all the antiseptics you can use all the antiseptics in this time to clean surfaces and to minimize the risk. You see, but what we have to understand is that it's not the one-time cleaning that removes the risk. We have to go into a situation where we are cleaning our surfaces as often as we possibly can, especially the door handles, because people are entering and exiting rooms all the time. Door handles become very, very important. And if it's an office where people are still operating even in the shutdown, again, the computer table, the computer keyboard itself, it needs to be cleaned as often as possible. And so all the antiseptics are useful and must be used appropriately. Because you have to also remember that especially if you have children in the area, these antiseptics are poisonous. And so if you leave them sitting in other places where there is accessible to the children, then in as much as you are trying to prevent coronavirus, you might end up having a child who go and eat or drink some of these things and then have other challenges.
Yeah.
And so let's still remember that we still have to keep our children, we still have to protect our children by keeping these things elevated in high places or locked in cabinets so that children don't have access to it.
All right.
And also, let me just add that in these days, children are also are just as much at risk as adults are. So we have to teach them hand washing, teach them using sanitizers. Make it fun. Teach them the songs. Let them use it to wash their hands and do all those things because they are just as much at risk as we are.
All right, thank you. Hello, good morning. Please, we have been attending a physical therapy department at a hospital which is close to a chest unit and an isolation ward for COVID-19 suspected cases. How safe are we? This is Henry from Fosu.
In terms of how safe you are, right now, most health workers or most hospitals are providing face masks and appropriate gear within reason for a lot of their staff members. So long as you are using the appropriate gear, you should be safe. And of course, try not to expose yourself to people who are infected or people who are in the isolation unit if you are not properly dressed. Because you are on the ground, you need to figure out how best to keep yourself safe within reason. If you have to interact with anybody, make sure that you are wearing the appropriate gear, wearing the face mask and the gloves that you need to. Of course, you have to wear it the right way because in putting on the face mask, in wearing the gloves, you could end up infecting yourself even faster than somebody else coming over to infect you in these days. So learn how to use the face mask properly and also how to wear the gloves and remove them properly.
All right, so we have another question here. It says, please, doctor, I feel chest pain sometimes, especially when I'm sitting, but when I sleep, I feel okay. I cough sometimes. I'm afraid that when I go for a checkup, they will quarantine me. So because of that, I asked my wife to go for a checkup, but she's okay. But I still feel the pain. So he's basically trying to do assessment by proxy.
Here's the thing. Let us not look at this quarantine like somebody is doing something to you that you don't want and you are being forced to do. Keep in mind that if there's a need for you to be quarantined, it is one, for your own good and also for your family's safety.
Yeah.
Because if you are indeed infected with this coronavirus and you keep interacting with your family members, guess what? You're going to infect them. Now, it's possible that because you are young and fit and you are healthy, you are going to recover from the coronavirus. But what if that family member is a diabetic and he or she is contracting this disease through no fault of his? And so let us not look at this quarantine thing like it's a burden. It's not a burden. We are not in usual times. These are unusual times. And so let us, if you have the symptom that you think that is coronavirus related, call the numbers, the 112, all the other coronavirus numbers that have been put out there. It doesn't mean that when you call them automatically, they'll put you on a quarantine. No, they will take you through some questionnaire, they will take you through some processes, and then figure out whether you do actually have this. I mean, what you have could be coronavirus related or not. And then they'll run the test, and then whatever the outcome of the test will be, then it will determine what the next line of action will be. Keep in mind also that the medication that you are going to be given to support your immune system in these days, they won't just give it to you just like that. They will, if there's a need for at least to give you the medication, then it's only when you report that they will know. And so let's try as much as possible to have a different mindset in this quarantine period, because we are not the usual time at all. You understand?
All right, fantastic. I've got a two-in-one question here. Should everybody just put on PPEs, ad hocly? And then the second part of the question is, what if I'm home and I use everything alone by myself? Must I also be washing my hands frequently?
So the second question is, must you be washing your hands frequently, whether you're at home alone or not? It's also about building a habit out of the hand wash thing. So if you can wash your hands frequently, even in the house, please do, because once it's established in your mind that I have to wash my hands frequently, even when you step out of the house, you are going to be reminded to wash your hands as often as you possibly can, thereby protecting yourself and protecting everybody else around you. And then the first question was, should everybody wear PPE? Well, to an extent, there's a school of thought that says that everybody should wear a face mask, because when you wear the face mask, if you do have the infection, it prevents the droplets from coming out into the atmosphere and infecting others. So for that reason, everybody should wear the face mask. There's another school of thought which the WHO is pushing, which says that if you don't have any symptoms, don't wear the face mask. Because if you don't know how to wear the face mask, then by wearing the face mask, you might end up exposing yourself to the infection, to the virus that's already on your hands. And so if you cannot wear it well, then don't wear it at all. So I guess what we can see that you can pick whichever school of thought you want to belong to, because as of now, our government hasn't issued any strict instruction as to whether we should all wear it or not. And so for now, you can decide to go with the WHO and not wear face mask, or you can go with the other school of thought and wear face mask. Just learn how to wear the face mask well. That is the most important thing, because if you don't wear it well, you will end up exposing yourself to the virus.
All right, and a quick stab at the last question here. It says, anytime I wake up, my legs and arms feel stiff, waist, but still the same experience. This is from Kwesi.
Well, the next thing I'll recommend that you do is probably try to change your mattress. Because sometimes, or many of us sleep on certain mattresses that may not exactly be healthy. So if you have tried everything and it's not working, then the next thing will probably be to change your mattress. Also, so let me rephrase. Change your pillow or your mattress, because either one of these things have been notorious for causing a lot of back problems. And because the spinal cord is coming through the backbone, and once you have a back problem, it can affect some of the nerves, and so it could probably be the reason for your discomfort. So change your pillow or your mattress.
All right, Dr. Kelvin Owusu, thank you so much for this time. The questions are just coming hard and fast, but we can't continue. We have to end it here for now. I'm sure we will do this very soon, probably next week by this time. And so you stay safe and stay well. We will do same here. Thank you very much for speaking with us this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. So we've been talking with Dr. Kelvin Owusu, who is the Medical Director of Optimal Care Diagnostics by virtual connection. We're going to come back with the next segment. Don't go anywhere. We'll take a short break.
Say hello to convenience. Say hello to the new ECG mobile app, ECG Power. Now you can buy electricity easily, pay conveniently, monitor your consumption, check your meter balance, and more anytime, anywhere. Start enjoying the convenience of ECG Power. It's now super easy to top up your electricity, make inquiries and complaints, get general information, and interact with the new ECG mobile app. Download it now from the Google Play Store or App Store, or dial *226# on your non-smartphone. ECG Power, convenience in your hands.
Public notice. As part of the effort to control the spread of COVID-19, we advise the use of the ECG mobile app to help reduce the numbers visiting our premises. Thank you.
There are those with untold stories, unraveled feats, life-changing stories, and lasting legacies. They tell their stories themselves right here on Footprints.
So we go to someone who were put in our various cells, and then someone you have it's a huge prison, and then it was then that it dawned on me that I was really a big talk.
Do you think that the overthrow of Liman was justified?
I think that with hindsight, there was no justification.
Be inspired by their hard work and resilience that led to those outstanding achievements as we trace their footsteps through the capsule of time.
Because of my upbringing, my mother, my father, they are, Christianity.
Yeah.
So because of that, I
strong
feel
hands
strong.
at home.
Even though I'm the guy smoking, doing all kinds of that, I've never tried.
You've never tried?
No, never tried weed or anything. Nothing.
You've never tried weed?
Even drinking, alcohol, no.
Why should you people put everything, Kwame. Everything was done before Nkrumah arrived in the country.
No, aho ni leba ye.
Aho neba ye.
So join me, Samuel Atamensa, and my guests every Saturday at 9 a.m. and Sundays at 4 p.m. only on City TV.
Footprint is sponsored by Bethel Logistics Company Limited, experts in shipping logistics.
There are those with untold stories, unraveled feats, life-changing stories, and lasting legacies. They tell their stories themselves right here on Footprints.
So we go to
they can't hear me.
Put in our various cells, and then someone you have it's a huge prison. And then it was then that it dawned on me that I was really in big trouble.
Do you think that the overthrow of Liman was justified?
I think that with hindsight, there was no justification.
Be inspired by their hard work and resilience that led to those outstanding achievements as we trace their footsteps through the capsule of time.
Because of my upbringing, my mother, my father, they are, Christianity.
Yeah.
So because of that, I
strong
feel
hands
strong.
at home.
Even though I'm the guy smoking, doing all kinds of that, I've never tried.
You've never tried?
No, never tried weed or anything. Nothing.
You've never tried weed?
Even drinking, alcohol, no.
Why should you people put everything, Kwame. Everything was done before Nkrumah arrived in the country.
No, aho ni leba ye.
Aho neba ye.
So join me, Samuel Atamensa, and my guests every Saturday at 9 a.m. and Sundays at 4 p.m. only on City TV.
Footprint is sponsored by Bethel Logistics Company Limited, experts in shipping logistics.
It's Breakfast Daily on City TV, and we do apologize for that small technical glitch that we had earlier, but thank you so much for staying with us. Now it's time for the entertainment segment, and throughout our conversation, if you want us to hear from you, don't forget that the hashtag is Breakfast Daily, and the WhatsApp line is 0550585832. If you're outside Ghana, the country code is +233. We have a special guest today. You usually see him around, 5-ish. You hear him on Traffic Avenue at Ato Kwamena. Good morning.
Good morning, and good morning to those of you who are watching. Breakfast Daily is the place to be every morning.
Hey, are you endorsing them?
I have to say, because when you're drinking Auza cocoa and then biting on that coast, you need to be watching Breakfast Daily. And then I'm here to just do one business, bring you up to speed with what's happening in the entertainment industry.
What's going on in this entertainment world?
The biggest issue on the lips of everybody in the entertainment industry is the fact that Obo's father died, and then leading to that, the controversy about the whole COVID-19 that his father.
He was positive, right?
Yes, his
now,
father.
But what happened with that whole wahala? Obo releasing his statement, people from the hospital talking. What's going on?
So there was a reportage that he didn't clarify the travel history of his dad to the hospital or the ambulance service that received him. So this has been going on and on your screen. Is an ex-president of Musica, and then recently he bid for MP.
Yeah, he was still campaigning.
Yeah,
actually.
So everybody's talking about Obo now, and even after his father passed last Friday. So we'll go straight to his statement, and then we'll just capture a bit of it. So that's the statement there, and then if we can zoom into a close-up of some important parts.
We'll just read briefly. The fact of the matter remains that my dad returned from the UK on March 19th, 2020, after his yearly visit to the family. Upon his return, he was fine but began coughing on Sunday, 22nd March 2020. I therefore arranged for his blood sample to be taken from home and tested at the Juaso Hospital, which he tested positive for malaria. We therefore began treatment for malaria, but his condition got worse. We arranged to get him to Accra to be tested for COVID-19 at the Ridge Hospital on Wednesday, the 25th of March. We are informed that the report would be ready. Well, we were informed that the report will be ready on Friday, 27th, with advice that we keep him in quarantine. So if he was advised to keep him in quarantine, how did his dad end up at the hospital?
Okay,
and why was he treating his dad for malaria in this generation of COVID-19?
My dear, I don't understand. It just boils down to the fact that there are certain things people need to know what is happening, and then we need to push on our communication and sensitize people more about it. It moves on down there to say that on the 9th of Thursday, 26th March 2020, his dad's condition became worse, finding it difficult to breathe, and so he drove him to the Legon Hospital to inquire if he could bring in a patient who recently came from the UK suspected for COVID-19 with difficulty breathing. The doctor advised that they call the ambulance service and take him to the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, that's Ridge, since he didn't have the logistics to treat him. When the ambulance team arrived, we informed them that the patient has recently returned from the UK and tested for COVID-19 and was awaiting his results, and so would be prudent that they wear masks, gloves, and other protective gear. The ambulance took them to Ridge around 11 p.m. On Thursday, 26th, and we were informed the night nurse at the Ridge Hospital of his travel again, and then his health history. So, I mean, Obo just emphasizing the fact that he kept on mentioning his travel history that the earlier reporter said he didn't. So he's just clearing the air. So
and that's the Ridge Hospital that you're looking at right there.
If we have
and that's
shots of
his dad,
father,
who may his soul rest in peace. Very sad time for anyone to lose a parent. It's never a right time to really lose a parent. But the questions people have, Ato, one, his dad had traveled. Let's just assume that his dad came back before the travel ban. And he was tested, his dad, for malaria. That's two. The second thing is, we've been telling people that if you see any signs and symptoms, call 112.
Exactly.
What can we all learn from this Obo experience? Because we definitely don't want to demonize him, but there are lessons. Sometimes we panic because it's different when you're just saying call this, but when it happens to your own parent, you might just blank out and do the things that you normally do.
Exactly. So just like Jafar rightly said, please, the numbers to call, just call 112. And don't waste, don't call your uncle to check if he's home to come and pick. No, please, we all need to stay safe. And then the Minister of Information, Kojo Nkrumah, came to clear the air at the last briefing, and then he was asked questions about it, and then he said that the government is investigating to whether Obo really said or clarified the travel history of his dad. So that's the biggest story in entertainment. And then moving on from there, Agbedem held his anti-corona concert.
Nice.
Yes.
Virtually. A lot of people are doing virtual concerts.
Yes. So it was an amazing experience. He had over 14,000 views on Facebook, and then it was a good thing. At the end, he told people that please, we need to stay safe, you need to wash your hands, listen to what the leaders are saying, and stay safe. So we have a snippet that we're going to show you. It's just something small.
Let's take a look at Agbedem.
We're supposed to start the show at 8, but it be like Corona won't stress us, so we've delayed a little. If you're watching live from home, we are taking it from the top again. Guys, are we live? Are we live? Yeah!
So that's Adam with his anti-coronavirus concert.
Yeah, and then still on the concert wave, I know a lot of entertainers are trying to bring entertainment to the people at home in self-isolation, in quarantine. So our very own Shatawale is coming up with his concert this weekend. Guys, you have to look forward to it. And then he says that he's going to do everything live band.
Nice.
He thinks that moving on in his career, he should try doing more live band music.
And this is the best time for him to do that.
Yeah, he's actually procured some live band equipment, and then he shows in a Snapchat video that we're going to show to you guys right now.
Okay, so that's his equipment.
Yes.
Okay. And I see that his people are actually practicing social distancing up as well.
Setting up and everything.
Wow. Okay. With my own live band equipment. It's a good thing he bought them before the markets closed, though.
Yeah.
Because if he had not rushed, he probably wouldn't have. Yeah. But what can we all learn from?
Yes.
First, Adam leverages this opportunity to connect more with his audience. Shatawale leveraging this to... What should we do with this whole virtual concert?
I'll say firstly that life is important. We must focus on life. Life is indeed important. And then, like you said, social distancing. Please, let's keep the distance. It's because of you and I. We need to go through. This has to pass so that we can continue living. So, and guys, please, let's sanitize, and then let's get relevant information. I mean, if you need anything, you know where to go to, thecitynewsroom.com. Every information you need, who to call when you start coughing or sneezing, every information. And just stay tuned to CDTV, because we'll bring you up to speed every day at 3 p.m. We have our COVID-19 show that we cover on the pandemic. So yeah, so guys, you don't want to miss anything right here on CTTV.
Thank you very much, Ato Kwamina, for being with us. So you catch him on Traffic Avenue 97.3 City FM at 2 p.m. and also on 30 Minutes at 5 p.m. with Melissa Awad. We'll now take a look at the songs that made it to the top 10 City Countdown and continue the show.
This is the City Countdown. This is the City Countdown. This is the City Countdown, number 10. Number 9. This is the City Countdown. Number 8. Number 7.
If you see my baby, girl, I'm sad. Did I feel
Number 6. Number 5. Number 4. This is the City Countdown. Number 3. Number 2. Number 1. The City Countdown.
All right, welcome back. It's still Breakfast Daily on City TV.
Yes, and it's been a fantastic morning. We've come to the end of the show. Well, my name is David Kwekusechi.
And I am Jufai Kramasam. Now, don't forget that for all the information you need on coronavirus, you can go to citynewsroom.com/coronavirus.
Absolutely, and make sure that you stay home. Don't go out unnecessarily. You're bored, you want to get fresh air. Fresh air, just step outside your door and then go back inside. Don't get out of your house and just follow the protocols. It's important.
And it's the last day of March, so hopefully tomorrow will come with new blessings, new things. April will be that month that Ghana will beat coronavirus.
Tomorrow's April 1st.
Yeah.
But you know what April 1st is, right?
I know, but this year we'll make an exemption for April Fool's Day.
Well, looking forward to see you tomorrow.
Yes.
We won't do April Fools to you tomorrow.
No, we won't do that. Enjoy your day. We'll see you same time tomorrow
morning.
Goodbye.
Take care.
This is VOA Africa.
Hello, I'm Esther Guido Ewart. It's Monday, March 30th. This is Africa 54. Due to the global outbreak of COVID-19, Voice of America is taking every necessary precaution to safeguard its employees. So our broadcast will look a little different today and in the near future, as we, out of an abundance of caution, reduce our staffing at our VOA headquarters here in Washington. We're working to help keep you informed about what's going on and appreciate your staying with us on Africa 54. The United States has the most global cases of menacing coronavirus, but Italy, which has by far the most deaths, has been under strict lockdown for weeks, reported more than 750 more deaths Sunday, but saw signs of hope with a slowdown in new infections. There are now over 720,000 global cases of COVID-19. The World Health Organization says the deadly disease has now spread to over 47 African countries. WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus says countries on the continent with weaker health systems must move aggressively to contain the spread among early cases and to prevent community transmission. In Southern Africa, Zimbabwe launched a 21-day lockdown on Monday in an effort to slow COVID-19. Officials say security forces may be deployed to enforce the lockdown. In West Africa, Mali held its long-delayed parliamentary election Sunday despite coronavirus concerns and an insurgency in its central and northern regions. Mali has confirmed at least 20 cases of COVID-19 and on Sunday recorded its first death from the disease. South African employers and workers can expect a new influx of cash. The country's national treasury says it is introducing a new tax subsidy of $28 per month for each worker to employers for the next 4 months to ease financial losses suffered by companies due to the coronavirus. The Treasury says it will also permit businesses with revenue of 50 million rand or less to delay paying 20% of their employees' tax liabilities over the next 4 months. Meanwhile, South Africa's 21-day lockdown started at the weekend, and on Monday, officials reported more than 1,100 cases of COVID-19 and at least 2 deaths. VOA's Anita Powell reports from Johannesburg.
The announcement of the nation's first coronavirus deaths gave a somber start to one of South Africa's most challenging trials. As soldiers prepared to deploy to the streets Thursday night for the beginning of a 21-day nationwide lockdown, President Cyril Ramaphosa underscored the seriousness of their task.
The infection rate has now reached 927, and in a few days we could be at 1,500. Our task is to save lives. Our task is to minimize this infection rate so that we can restore life to the people of South Africa.
South Africans stocked up ahead of the lockdown on Thursday. For the next 3 weeks, no one will be allowed outside for anything but essentials, like food and medical care. As the sun rose on Friday, the nation was at a standstill. Police searched and stopped those on the roads. But across the Rainbow Nation, the scene was different. The streets were quiet in cities like Polokwane and towns like Middelburg, but it appeared some residents were defying the strict regulations and venturing out. This is something that alarms health experts, who have noted that South Africa has the world's highest prevalence of HIV and tuberculosis. And, unlike other countries, a different population is at risk. That was also illustrated by the pandemic's first 2 deaths in South Africa. A top provincial official said they were both women, one in her 20s, the other in her 40s.
Another difference between South Africa and sub-Saharan Africa and other high-income countries is that, in fact, we have many fewer elderly people. So we may expect to see that should the disease become more widespread, we will see quite a different picture with perhaps not as many old people because there just aren't as many in the population. But we really need to be concerned about those young adults with HIV and TB and other conditions.
But Ramaphosa, who described the lockdown as a necessary measure, said he has faith in his people.
But I also want you to execute your task with great respect to our people, with great humility to our people. I have confidence in the people of South Africa that they are going to abide by the restrictions that we have placed on their lives in order to save their lives.
But his optimism may be misplaced as security forces shut down road businesses Friday in Johannesburg's Soweto area, raising worries nationwide that this could be a tough 3 weeks. Anita Powell, VOA News, Johannesburg.
Officials in Africa believe that public education is key to stopping the spread of the COVID-19 across the continent. VOA's Salem Solomon looks at how prominent figures are using music as a tool to reach the masses.
Music is often called the universal language. When trying to spread life-saving information about the coronavirus pandemic, African artists are finding that it helps to have a catchy beat. Across the continent, musicians are recording songs about social distancing, spotting symptoms, and of course, washing hands. It's all part of an effort to get vital information about disease prevention to people who might not get it otherwise. Uganda
is that everyone is a potential solution.
He has teamed up with vocalist Nubian Lee for the song Coronavirus Alert. It has a simple and uplifting message.
Sensitize the masses to sanitize, keep a social distance and quarantine. Stop! The coronavirus is sweeping over mankind. Everybody must be alert. It's a global pandemic we can never take for granted.
Another figure not taking the pandemic for granted is Liberia's President George Weah. He knows the cost of an outbreak. His country lived through an Ebola pandemic in 2014-2015 that took nearly 5,000 lives. This time, he picked up the mic, warning people that it could take. The country on this with more than 700 cases. The Ndovu Youth Choir is trying to bust myths. The young people from the village of Mote know that the choir director, Ralph TB, COVID-19 could have a video to dispel myths about. Salam Solomon, VOA News, Washington.
In Middle America, U.S. governors say the worst is yet to come as the death toll and the number of people infected with the coronavirus is likely to increase. VOA's Elizabeth Lee has more.
As the number of infections and deaths continue to grow, U.S. President Donald Trump is extending social distancing guidelines to the end of April.
We don't want to do well and then end a little bit early and have it start going up again. We can expect that by June 1st, we will be well on our way to recovery. We think by June 1st.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has issued a travel advisory for the East Coast states of New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut for 14 days in an effort to contain the virus. The governor of New Jersey, Phil Murphy, warns the number of infected people will continue to rise.
Part of it's due to community spread, but a big part of it is we have opened up testing aggressively.
Now a new test will speed testing results from days to minutes.
The FDA authorized a new test developed by Abbott Labs that delivers lightning-fast results in as little as 5 minutes. That's a whole new ballgame. The deployment of rapid testing will vastly accelerate our ability to monitor, track, contain, and ultimately defeat the virus.
Trump says Abbott Labs expects to deliver 50,000 tests daily beginning this week. As more people are diagnosed, state officials worry about what is to come.
We remain on a trajectory really to overwhelm our capacity to deliver health care by the end of the first week in April.
Louisiana has become one of the coronavirus hotspots. Louisiana Governor John Bell Edwards anticipates a shortage of supplies soon.
We think the first real issue is going to be ventilators, and we think it's about the 4th or 5th of April before down in the New Orleans area we're unable to put people on ventilators who need them. And then several days later, we will be out of beds.
Louisiana is not the only state in need of ventilators.
That's our number one ask. It's our number one need.
President Trump invoked the Defense Production Act, requiring automaker General Motors to make ventilators. The government is also working with a company that has technology to sterilize face masks. As lawmakers work on getting more supplies, they're asking Americans